The last time. He thought he was untouchable. Back in high school, I had this one kid, Jake, who thought he was invincible. He was the type that would mess with people just for the fun of it, shoving kids into lockers, taking their stuff, and laughing like he owned the place. Teachers never did much, and whenever someone tried to stand up to him, his rich parents would swoop in, and suddenly, the problem disappeared. One day, Jake thought it would be funny to grab my backpack and toss it into the school fountain. Problem was, my laptop was inside. The laptop I needed for an upcoming project that could determine whether I passed or failed. I was livid. The principal called my parents in, and of course, Jake's mom was already there, sipping her overpriced coffee and smirking like this was just another minor inconvenience they'd brush off. My dad walked in, took one look at my soaked laptop, and then at Jake, who was grinning like he had just won a game. That grin vanished real quick. Dad didn't yell, he didn't threaten. He simply pulled out a folder, handed it to the principal, and said, "This is the estimated cost of the damage, plus labor, plus additional expenses for any missed schoolwork. If they don't pay, we'll be pressing charges for destruction of property." Jake's mom scoffed. "This is ridiculous. He's just a kid." Dad smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. And yet somehow he's old enough to know exactly what he's doing. This isn't the first time, is it? He turned to the principal, who suddenly found something very interesting about his desk. "How many times have complaints been filed against him?" Silence. Dad nodded. "That's what I thought. You've been protecting him because it's easier than dealing with the fallout." He turned back to Jake's mom. "So here's what's going to happen. You're either paying for the damages, or I'll be filing a police report." Jake, who had been quiet up until now, muttered, "It was just a joke." Dad's expression didn't change. "Funny. You're not laughing anymore." The principal tried to intervene, saying something about how they could handle this internally. But Dad shut that down immediately. You've handled it internally every other time, and here we are. If he doesn't face consequences now, he never will." The officer on duty at the school was called in. Jake's mom suddenly wasn't so smug. She started talking about how they could work something out. My dad just stared at her. Actions have consequences. It's about time your son learned that. Jake ended up with mandatory community service, and his parents had to pay for the damages. He wasn't quite as smug after spending weekends cleaning up trash instead of tormenting other kids. Funny how quickly someone stops thinking they're untouchable when they realize there are actual repercussions.